This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hi, welcome to the Sound of Gold. I'm excited to be here with you today, and I have some special guests that will be joining us. I just want to start off by saying the Sound of Gold, the reason why we are doing this, why I'm doing this, is I'm a musician, I'm a music teacher, and I want to keep music alive. Original music is not, it's original pieces of music that we grew up with, that we get to compose, that we get to put together, is in the real. We don't use technology. Well, maybe I'm making myself old, but we don't use like the synthesizers, and we don't use the looping. But I guess now with the new technology we do. And maybe I'm getting off on a confusing foot here, but I want to keep music alive. I want to keep music alive in the schools. I want to keep music alive for students that want to learn instruments. I want to keep music alive for us musicians that want to go out and play at venues. I want to connect with venues and that have live music. I want to connect with schools and teachers. And that's what I do here to have this show. I get to connect with these great people and build bridges, because that's what we do. That's what relationships are. We build bridges, and that's how we stay connected. And music is a beautiful way to keep us connected. So with that being said, as a musician and as a teacher, a lot of students that I have, a lot of friends that I have that are musicians, including myself, take lessons, right? So I've been playing for over 45 years, not to give my age away, and I did have a birthday yesterday, not to give my age away, but I still take lessons. It's not about learning something, how would you say this? I could be 100 years old, I'm not 100, but I could be 100 years old and I could still be learning something on my instrument and with sound. Music is so important because there's so much to learn. It's never ending. And you and I get to inspire each other as musicians and as students and as teachers. We learn from each other. So while I have my foot in many doors, my main focus is on doing the best job that I can as a musician, playing my instrument and learning from others who are more advanced than me or who know different perspectives. So what I would like to say is that today, my special guests are POPMATICS. And if you haven't heard of POPMATICS, POPMATICS is a fabulous online school of thought and school of training and teaching of how to approach specifically the piano and play songs and learn to play the keyboard in such different ways that I'm planning to take classes. And I'm not just saying that. So we have Tony Parlapiano, who is the founder, and we have Angela, who I want to say Sanchez, but I'm not saying her last name right. I know that. But I know Angela's here with us, and Tony will be joining us shortly. Angela, are you on standby? Are you sitting in with us? There you are.
Hey, I think I'm here now.
How do I say your last name? It's not Sanchez.
Yeah, it's Senich. So nobody can say it right the first time, but I always say it rhymes with spinach. Senich.
I love it. You're so funny. So I was just kind of going off a little bit on how, as a musician, we're always learning. And I've been playing a really long time, and I still take lessons because it's like I learn from you and I learn from my students. And it's a beautiful thing to be a student and to be a musician, because it's like never ending. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm going to sign up and, be the president of this company. And then you get there, you're like, okay, well, that's it. I'm here. No, it's like as a musician, you're always growing and always evolving. And I love that. And I love what you and Tony put together, because it's such a fun version of our perspectives. And I'm going to let you do the talking, because I only know so much, but I love the both of you and I love your approach. And even, okay, let's put that on hold. Even before we get there, tell me how you got involved. Tell me what, like, your music history a little bit, like what inspired you to be a part of this?
Yeah, I'm happy to. And before I do, I will just say I love what you were saying at the beginning, because that's one thing that Tony and I both embrace very seriously in this program, is that we are students first. So we have this program, we work with a lot of adults, but anything that we ask our students to do, we're doing too. And that kind of goes back to how I first met Tony, because I was a student myself. Teaching piano is something that I've come to later in life. I always kind of taught my own boys, but my background in music, I did grow up in a musical family, musical parents. My sister is a singer-songwriter. But my history was really just the classical piano for many, many years. And I took lessons and did all the traditional route. And then it was kind of an on and off thing throughout my life. I always came back to it, but I always felt like I was missing something a little bit, the ability to sit down and improvise or play pop music, play from chord charts, all those things. I could play really wonderfully advanced classical music and all of that, but I wanted something different. And in 2020, when the world of music instruction opened up online, I started searching and all these wonderful courses and teachers and Facebook groups. And that's how I found Tony, the creator of POPMATICS. And I started taking private lessons with him. And I feel like that was really one of the first times a lot of just in my mind, pieces were clicking together and I was starting to see things in new ways. And I kind of started my journey that I'm still on today. I'm here and there's a long ways to go, like you said. And it's wonderful that there is, because it's one of the funnest things I get to do in my life is just learning more and more about music. So I started studying with him. And then when he decided to start this online school, I do also have a background in instructional design. So in my previous life, I put together trainings for adults. So I'm able to kind of bring that skill in and helped him kind of take his methodology and ideas. And together we built this online school.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So with that being said, for our listeners that never heard of POPMATICS, that don't know anything about POPMATICS, what would be, first of all, how do we reach you? Like, how do we find you on the web?
Yeah. Well, it's very easy. You can just remember that pop, like pop music, and then matics, like mathematics. So POPMATICS, you can go to our website. You can follow us on TikTok. Those are kind of probably the two best places right now. But just look up our site or follow us on TikTok or YouTube. We're there as well. All the social platforms, really.
And what makes you, I know, but maybe our listeners don't know, what makes POPMATICS, what there, I find there's a lot of distinguishable, like, little, I can't, okay, I'm not going to talk for you, but tell us why POPMATICS stands out. Tell us why we would sign up for POPMATICS. Like, what's the approach? What's, what makes your POPMATICS program different than just going to a regular teacher?
Yeah, it is a very unique method. So much so that sometimes when we try to explain it to people, they don't even quite understand. It really takes being immersed in it to see what it is, but I'll do my best just to kind of briefly explain it. So when you think about music as a language and how we learn languages by listening, hearing things, and then we start babbling if we're a baby and we make sounds. And we literally want to do the same thing with music. So we spend a lot of time listening and then together kind of analyzing, figuring out what we're hearing. We do kind of focus on pop music, but that's very broad, anything that's been on the radio ever, and we do a little bit of jazz and classical too. But we start with listening, and then we do a lot of creating. So, improvising can be an intimidating term. We call it creating, but it's very much like story-based. We use a lot of kind of visual prompts in stories. We don't obsess about letter names. We don't do a lot of note reading. I mean, we might bring those things in later, but to start, we try to build a very pure experience with you and your instrument, making sounds, listening to them, making it simple enough that anybody could follow along, but people with more experience can do more with the instruction. So those are the two, listening and creating, are two of our class, kind of themes. And then the third theme is understanding. So we do believe that you'll progress faster if you have some understanding and knowledge of what it is that you're creating and hearing in a shared vocabulary. But Tony's lessons on understanding, again, aren't like anything you've ever seen. Through all of his years of private teaching, he has all of these creative concepts and ways to kind of dig down at the foundations. A lot of people start high with chords. We start much earlier on with patterns and keyboard recognition, and then we kind of work your way up. And eventually we'll get to chords and we'll get to advanced harmony as well, but all kind of through this very unique lens that Tony has developed over his 20 years of private lessons with students.
Nice.
Did that answer your question?
What's that?
Did that answer your question?
Yes. And I don't know if this is, maybe I have a habit of asking like too many questions in one sentence. So this might be too many questions, but I love POPMATICS' approach, because the many things that I've done and that I do and I juggle, one of them is theater and film. And so like anything in that genre, like I know what it means. I understand it because I've been there. I've had my foot in the door there. So I don't know if I'm giving away any like secrets, but some of the ways that you guys teach deals with like point of view or like stage like positions. And can you give us a little bit more on that, because you'll do better than me?
That's such an interesting question. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I know what you're referring to exactly, but was this from, I know you've done like some of our free workshops and our campfire course. Was there something specifically you were thinking about?
Well, free workshops, first off, thank you for reminding me. Do we have any free workshops coming up?
We will be scheduling one soon. Yes. Right now, when we don't have a live one running, we've got like a video version that you can access from our website anywhere. So it's like a 30-minute condensed version. And so that's available right now. And as soon as we get a free one, the next live one up, it'll be advertised on the site for sure. So we try to do them every now and then, but we've got a lot of initiatives going on right now that we're juggling a lot of balls. But we will do one again. So get on our mailing list if you'd like to join one. But yeah, we try to share in those just a little bit, like I said, since we're so unique, and that free video class called Make Music Easy. That's our tagline. We think that music should be easy. It should be something like, this is kind of what you always demonstrate in your own music, Lisa. It can flow out of you effortlessly. And that's really our goal, is to get anyone who wants to experience that, I believe, can experience that, and we can help you get there.
Sure. Now, I guess I'm, to be more general, and again, I hope I'm not giving away secrets, but like,
no, it's okay. Nothing that
he mentions campfire. So I guess being that I have some acting in my world and in my, whatever you call it, when he goes campfire, like I'm thinking, my mind goes, I'm sitting at the campfire, like I'm out there. And so like my mind just goes there. So then when I'm playing and thinking of campfire, and I'm like going to different like regions of the piano, and I'm going to different octaves and different sounds, like it's so, like I feel like a kid. I have so much fun with it. And like, yeah, I mean, I don't know if everybody has that same experience who's taken like the campfire lessons, but it's so much fun. Are we allowed to give away a little bit of that campfire, like what I mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah, don't worry. There's nothing no trade secrets. You can give away anything you want. But I mean, I do love what you said about feeling like a kid. Like really, that's our goal, because children also naturally, given instruments, they just start playing and having fun. And, Campfire is the name of our kind of creating or improvising series. And it starts with 10 lessons, and then we build out from there. And there is a campfire storyline. And so it's very story based, and we're collecting logs, and here's our camp, and here's our fire, and here's some sparks, and let's throw a log. We use all of these metaphors, and it is a wonderful image because we're kind of specifically tying some of these feelings and metaphors to notes and actions on the keyboard, but also just the spirit of the campfire and, this camaraderie, and here we are together. There's a lot of other kind of side stories around that metaphor that we just love.
Okay. And then what about I know with the ear training, now I have musician friends that can play by ear. It's no problem, but they can't read music. Mm-hmm. So then someone like myself, I can read music and then I could also compose my own stuff. But if you ask me to play by ear, for me, that's work. It just doesn't flow for me naturally. And I know I've taken some of your online classes where Tony will pick an easy song and we'll listen to it. And then as I'm paying attention and understanding, not overthinking it, I figure it out. So it's kind of and I think I posted it a little briefly today in the introduction of today's show. And that's really kind of working with intervals. And I'm going theory-based intervals where you're just, forget the theory, let's just have fun with this. So could you give us an example? Maybe randomly, could we pick just an easy song? And could you explain to our listeners what I'm talking about?
I could try. Yeah. Well, so let me say, instead of intervals, I would say that we use the number system.
Okay.
Because, in the past, people would say things like, oh, let's, get the sound of an interval in your head. And then every time you hear a fifth, use whatever your song was, okay. Twinkle, twinkle. Okay, that's an interval, right, which is a musical distance. Right. But the problem with just interval training, and this is for people with musical background, it's really hard when you're hearing a song and going very quickly to just slow down and isolate these intervals. But actually, every note has a kind of a feeling based on where it is in the scale. And some people use solfege, some people use numbers. They're both good. We just use numbers in POPMATICS because that leads naturally into harmony. So even just to start with campfire, we always campfire. It's two sounds. And later you play with them first, but later you come to learn it's your one or your home or your tonic and your three. Right. Those two notes. And the more you create with these sounds and then kind of bring in some awareness of where they are in the scale or the landscape, as we call it, then when you hear that in a song, you'll start to recognize it. And so when you hear these patterns and melodies, you have to kind of go slow and work in tiny pieces at first, but you start with the melody, figure out where's your camp, where's your home. And then from there, you can kind of put together the other numbers and draw a map of the song. Does that help?
Yeah. Now, from what I know, and I don't know a lot, but from what I understand is when we work together, or I will be, like I said, I will be signing up for probably next month or something. And no joke, I'm not saying that.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah. Because I want to learn more from you guys. But you're not okay, here's the sheet music. I'm already taking lessons somewhere else, but and they're okay, here's the sheet music, work on 3 intervals. Okay, or 3 measures. Okay. And smooth it out, get it right. But you guys don't do that. You guys aren't here's the sheet music. You guys are listen to it, feel it, find it kind of thing. Is right.
We're always going to start from listening. Not that, many of our students can read music or want to learn to read music.
Right.
It's not either or, but there's so many places out there that can teach you to read music. So we're trying to teach you the other side of the coin, how to play what you hear. And we do this, we model it together. We have live classes and video lessons. We have listening classes every day, and people will bring in songs or we have songs and we'll just model it with a little section of the song. Sure. And you start with melody. That's the easiest thing for people to hear normally. And then as you get better with melody, you'll start hearing bass lines. And then after that, you'll start hearing chord quality and then eventually additional details. So this is a very staged thing. you're not going to come in and be able to analyze, all the chords in a song the first day.
Right.
But we start with small pieces of melodies and then work your way up. So when I started, I couldn't even really play a melody by ear. I could fumble around and find it. And now melody is easy. I can hear bass lines, I can hear chord qualities, and then I'm starting to get kind of the more advanced details of listening. So basically, by modeling and supporting students and helping them, it does take time. We make it easy, meaning it's fun and anyone can do it, but it does take time if you really want to develop that ear training fluency. So our program is designed to go over the course of a year.
Okay.
You can, you don't have to do it that way, but, we kind of say within a year, you can have basic fluency, just as you could if you studied a language for a year. There's no ceiling, but you could get comfortable. We have a student now who just said, wow, I heard a song, sat down for 30 minutes, figured out the chords, and here it is. I'm playing it and I'm singing it. That's kind of our goal for anyone in the program.
And I was actually like maybe reprimanding myself today a little bit because I didn't get to practice. Well, it was my birthday yesterday, but I didn't get to practice this weekend. And I was like, kind of like, you didn't practice this weekend and we have a class tomorrow. And I'm like going over in my head and I'm like, okay, Miss Teacher. I'm like, well, you get what you put into it. And then I'm like, okay, that's not fair. Like, so, there's no, I learned this the other day or last week, there's really no balance. Like, we all have, we're people, we're human, we're adults. We have so much responsibility, so much going on that this is like, and I remind my students this too. I should be nice to myself too and say, it's what you put into it, but there's no balance. It's a juggle. And it's like, how well can you juggle is what it comes down to. And so with that being said, I love POPMATICS for the fact that it's just so much fun that it doesn't feel like, okay, I have to go take out the trash kind of thing. It's just like, hey, I get to like escape my regular responsibilities, even for like 15 minutes, just to sit down and play. And I'm kind of going off a little bit, but I mean, as a student point of view, other than a teacher, I mean, how do you look at POPMATICS in that way?
Yeah, it really does feel like play. Like I said, I had that classical background, and when you're working on a classical piece, you're very focused and you're using your mind a lot, and it's very technical. You're trying to get these technical movements in your hands. And with POPMATICS, I could sit and just play for hours. It's almost like I have to make myself stop because it's fun and relaxing. If I'm figuring out a song by ear, it feels like a puzzle. I don't get frustrated like I used to because I know I can go get help and I've got supports and whatnot. So it just feels fun too. It all kind of feels like a game. And we do have a lot of busy adults in our program. So we have tried to make it where you can come in. We've got options for, if you're really busy, just go watch this express video every week. If you have more time, come once a week to class, come every day to class. It's very much based around what you said. We all have different, sometimes we have busy weeks, sometimes we have a lot of time. So we try to make it very flexible because we both have busy, just like you, busy schedules too.
Right.
I have a lot of my own personal music projects I'm trying to work on. I like to write songs. I play in a band. I'm learning, teaching. I do all kinds of stuff. So it's a lot to balance, and so we try to keep our program really flexible.
Detour, just a moment.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your band.
Yeah, well, this is something that kind of opened up for me after I started doing POPMATICS. And, well, I was in a band once before, I should say, with my sister, who's a singer-songwriter. And I was like the classical piano player who had no idea. I'm like, chords, what's the chord? What do I do? But she was very patient with me, and I kind of made my way through it. But now that I have like a much better understanding of how to learn by listening and listen, a lot of what we do is listen to the different roles of instruments. So I joined a couple of cover bands, and I'm in one of them now. And it's been a phenomenal experience just to get to work regularly with other musicians and play around town. So we do just all kinds of, everything from 70s up to modern music. So a little bit of everything. Try not to be just songs that people like. And sometimes I'm emulating a keyboard part. Sometimes there is no keyboard part. I'm just figuring out what's going to go with the sound that we're, our version of the song. So,
Nice.
I mean, POPMATICS has really helped because, you can pull up a chord chart, but it's not really going to show you what to do in a band. And a lot of times they're not even accurate. So, I kind of take the skills I've learned and I can go and at least be sure about chords and strong structure and all that stuff. And then there's a little bit, we talk a lot about a little bit of structure and a lot of freedom. Too much freedom is intimidating. And that's what our creating class is. There's enough structure that you're not intimidated, but then you can go and play like in the playground. And, the band is a little bit like that too for me now. So, yeah.
So you play keyboards and do you sing as well?
Yeah, I play keyboards and I sing. We do a lot of harmonies together. I do lead on some of the songs. I'm kind of newer to singing. So that's one way I've been pushing myself lately is to sing a little more. And that's been really fun. Singing and playing it's so fun. And a lot of people in our program, I can't sing or I don't have a good voice, but I do think anyone can sing, just like anyone can learn an instrument. We all have voices. We can all, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Just about it. My mom was a choir director and she always believed that too. So, and we've had students, people told me I was tone deaf and, but here they are, they're not, and they're learning. So and using your voice is a powerful way to create. So whether you're a singer or not, like just if you listen to Tony playing, he's always humming along and, singing through his imagination and then it reaches his fingers. And I think I don't do it as much as he does, but our voice is a very powerful way to connect with music, I think.
I found, since we're on the detour, my husband and I, we run karaoke. We used to do every week, but we do every other week. So, and that's this past year and a half, that's been new for me, right? Because I sang as a kid and I've taken singing lessons over the years, but I guess it's like being afraid, like that fear, like you don't want to stand up and sing. But there's so much freedom and there's so much connection. I'm like right down here. I have like so far to go, but there's so much connection with being able to, and I used to take singing lessons and play and sing. And that's really hard, but the connection, my point is, and again, I have a long way to go. My point is that it's a completely different connection that you make with your instrument and with the song, because you not only like form it to yourself. It's kind of like going to the store and putting on a dress, or if you're a man, I don't know, try on slacks or something. Either they're gonna fit or they're too baggy, and you got to go find ones that do fit. And the same thing for music and singing is like you find a way that it fits you. And there's the freedom and the beauty in it, because you don't tailor it to like Taylor Swift or, or whoever, an artist, the popular artists out there. You tailor it to who you are, because that's what makes it beautiful. And that's what makes music. And a lot of my students, I call them magicians. I said, you are not only the musician, you are the magician, because you're bringing it to life.
I love it. We actually have some characters in our program. When you get into deeper level, we do have a magician, which is a very specific note off the landscape, and I won't go into the details, but part of the storytelling. But yeah, I believe that too. Everyone, it's your voice becoming what your voice is meant to be. That's why I think anyone can sing. Now, I can't sing like any of those people you mentioned. I just have to be comfortable. And a lot of people don't like the sound of their voice, but once you get through that, and other people, it's the same with the piano. Honestly, when you play this way without sheet music, one way to think of the journey is you're finding your voice. Right. And you'll see, like Tony will listen to something. He's like, oh, I hear the Debussy and I hear the Nora Jones and I hear that, all these influences. I don't consciously try to put those things in, but he'll hear them. And that's kind of what developing your own voice is. It's hearing all the things you like and then creating your own music. And like over time, your own kind of style or voice just evolves. It's very much a process, and I have a long way to go too, kind of like you said. But
and the beauty of POPMATICS also, and I don't know if I had said this to Tony or you guys in one of the classes, or maybe I just thought it and I didn't speak it. If you or I or any of our listeners out there were to take a crayon or a paintbrush and just paint a picture, right? Just like be creative and paint something. It comes out. You don't like in the beginning, like, okay, well, how is it going to be, and like how square is the table going to be, or how square is the box going to be, and how you don't premeditate as an artist. You just like, yes, give me the paintbrush, give me the palette with the colors, give me the canvas, and let me go. And that's the same thing with POPMATICS. I find is that there's so much creativity in the teaching. Again, just my perception. It's almost like, here's the paintbrush. I'm going to show you the palette that we're using and go off of that.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. We actually have an activity called restaurant crayons that Tony loves. I think you can probably find one on TikTok fairly recently. And it's like, again, it's a few notes, but they're all going to sound good together. And then he's like, go paint with your restaurant crayons. But the way you've described that, like, it's sort of, sometimes it's a flow or something like that. Like, I'm not planning ahead of time what my creation is even going to be. I have the constraints, but it's just almost in the moment you're flowing along. And we say you might not always even like what you play, but it doesn't matter. You kind of let go of your judgment while you're in that creating zone, and you don't worry about mistakes. You're just having fun and seeing, what picture am I creating? We do a lot of recording too, and we encourage our students to record these creating activities. And we have a special locker for every student where they can store those. And a lot of times we say, go back later, give it a break, and then go back and listen. And you might like what you did better than you thought in the moment. And you'll also, we encourage students to use those for their ear training, because if you were playing with 4 notes and you kind of know what those sound like, so you can go back and, I went from the 1, 3, 4, 5, 4, you can do that with your own playing sometimes, because it's simple and it's using a set of constraints that you're familiar with.
Okay. So I have a creative, I don't know. I have a question.
Okay.
And so for my listeners out there who are piano players or keyboard players, whether you're just learning or you're advanced, I think this covers like across the board. So let's say, for the example of like the campfire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we didn't mention was, and you'll have to check it out. You'll have to go to POPMATICS and find some of the videos, and you'll understand better. You use the block notes, right, for the campfire.
Mm-hmm.
So do you so there's octaves, right? There's octaves on the keyboard, no matter how small the keyboard is, there's 7 octaves on the regular piano. So if you're doing campfire, do you mention octaves? Do you talk about distinguishing where the octaves are, or do you just kind of like just flow with it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we start with very specific, like we start looking at the pattern of black notes and get people to kind of see how they're grouped in 2s and 3s.
Yes.
And then campfire, your home, for those with some music theory background, is G flat. So we use those 5 black notes, and then we weave in 2 white notes eventually. But you're getting the concept of octaves by, like when I mentioned dropping logs in the fire. Well, I'm playing a low G flat. I'm not going to use that name right away, but later we'll explain to people that was that was a G flat. That's the key you're in. That was your 1. And so through the experiences, they will start to see which notes sound the same. These concepts of octaves, they will all be learned through experience. And then later we'll take that same experience and do it in other keys. So that's just, we find that Tony kind of discovered, and I agree with him, the key of G flat is wonderful for creating it. The layout of the black notes and where those 2 white notes are, they're the black notes are the pentatonic, and then you've got the other 2 notes. But eventually we do a key a month in our program, so you'll make it through each key. And I think Tony just messaged me. He might be backstage.
Oh, okay.
Trying to join us, which is awesome.
Tony, are you with us? Have you stepped in?
I think he's backstage, so maybe we need to let him in.
Oh, there we go.
There he is. Yay.
How are you?
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. That's all right.
We're teaching, so good excuse.
Yes. So before we even start, you're a Libra like I am. Is today your birthday?
No, mine's the September 26th. Is today your birthday?
Oh, I missed it. Okay, maybe I saw it on Facebook, but happy birthday.
Thank you. Is today your birthday?
No, yesterday was my birthday.
Oh, yesterday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. So, welcome. Angela and I have been chatting the whole time, and
Yeah, I heard
I
a little bit there.
what's that?
I heard a little bit there at the end there. I was backstage for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. I absolutely love POPMATICS. I love how you and Angela present present the classes. And I told Angela, I said, I will be signing up this year. I promise. But before we go into POPMATICS, Tony, give our listeners a little history of like where you began, how you started with music, and how you came about creating POPMATICS.
I'll try to give you a quick summary. So I've been interested in music my whole life. I started with band programs. I started playing little guitar in high school. I grew up in a family with 6 sisters and 2 brothers. They're all older than me, and they all played an instrument. So we had a lot of instruments around the house by the time I came around. And so I experimented with a lot of different things, but it wasn't really until I went to college that I started learning how to play the piano. And I had studied several other instruments up until that point. I knew earlier than that I wanted to be a music teacher. I just didn't know that I was going to be a piano instructor. I thought I was going to be maybe a high school band director or something like that. Those were the instruments that I was into. So then it kind of gave me this opportunity when I fell in love with the piano right away. But the problem was everyone else in college had been playing since they were 6. So I had to desperately try to catch up. And I was very fortunate to meet a lot of musicians who were a lot of self-taught musicians that were in bands. And so I had a lot of experience early on just getting to play with other students. And at first, I didn't tell anybody this, but I really only knew how to play in a couple keys. And I used that transpose feature just to get by. And that's kind of how I got started. But now through your question was like how we kind of got to POPMATICS, which POPMATICS really kind of developed organically. I didn't start off saying, I'm going to build this curriculum. It started off where I had a student that was a very accomplished musician and a professional musician, but he didn't have a lot of experience with reading music. And so I started creating materials that would help him a little bit more. He had a degree in music and everything, passed all the exams and had the theory and all this stuff. But every time I would put sheet music in front of him, it was like you were creating a separation between him and his instrument. And this paper thin separation is enough to just lose that connection. And so I wanted to get rid of that. So I started creating these visual charts and I was actually making them in spreadsheets, and I was using black cells and white cells to represent the black and white keys so he could get a picture of the patterns and the shapes. And all of a sudden things started to make sense because he could make these connections and we could go at the speed of his understanding. And so we focused a lot on creativity. And over the years, Angela and I have really been students in our own program. This was not something that we knew exactly what it was going to look like right away. Sooner or later, we had the key of the month, and Angela and I kind of put ourselves to the same challenges that we put our students to, which is, we call it the campfire challenge. It's 5 minutes of creating every day. Don't miss a day. If you do, don't let it turn into 2 in a row. So, we give, it's like, you can take a couple days off if that happens, but really you make it part of the rhythm of your life and daily creation. There's nothing like it. And I know that you know this, Lisa. I watch your live streams and you're creating and
thank you.
And you're bringing in many elements together, and you got the chimes and just a lot that you can bring into the music, and it's all kind of what's inside and it comes pouring out. And so that's really what we do through the creating. So that's not 5 minutes of practicing your scales or perfecting your songs. It's really generative, making new music from the inside out. And now that we have that key of the month, well, now we've kind of developed a whole theme. So every month has a theme. So not only is there a key of the month, but there's a theme. And that really allows us to shine the spotlight on certain areas of our program throughout the year.
Sure.
So that's where we are now. It's kind of like Adventureland.
I love it. And there's so many questions I have, and Angela's been wonderful. And I'm so glad that both of you are on here. I love your approach. And I had told Angela, I don't know if I mentioned to Angela, like I have theatrical and film background and I still have my foot in the door. So your approach to like the campfire and other just your ideas and your perceptions and your perspectives. And like, I'm like this little kid that is just, I have so much fun with the classes that I have taken. And again, like I said, I will be signing up for more, but your way of teaching is not like, okay, we're going to learn the theory. We're going to learn like, okay, your time values. We're going to learn your dynamics. We're going to learn the sheet music and your regions on the piano. You just listen. And I love that because it takes away that. For me personally, I can read music, but I can't play by ear, right? But I don't think I'm great at reading sheet music either. But you take the intimidation out completely. You just make it across the board fun. And so I thank you for that. So for my listeners out there, POPMATICS is easy to find on the web. And I know, Angela, you said there are some free classes that they can sign up for and then get into the mailing list for the classes coming up.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you have? I know the key of the month is something new that you're working on, but do you have a specific, not genre, but a specific topic that you absolutely love teaching out of, like, across the board? Like, what do you absolutely love being able to share that's become maybe an aha for you that you just like, you just got to get this?
Well, that's a great question. I have to say, it's hard for me to pick. I'm almost as enthusiastic about talking about the early concepts as I am the later ones, because it's such a breakthrough. Am I allowed to? Can I play? Can I demonstrate something? Is
Absolutely, absolutely.
We'll jump in. So this campfire, my camera might be mirror imaged. I can't tell.
No, it's good. We can see you. We can see the campfire.
So, one of the things, I'm just going to give you something really practical for the people watching, because when you look at the piano, I mean, it's the first thing most people notice is you got black keys and white keys. And I think it's important for everyone to know that even if you never hear another thing about how to play the piano other than what I'm about to tell you right now, it's that you can play all the black keys and they sound amazing together, because really we have these collections of 2 and 3 black keys, and these are tuned, believe it or not, these are tuned to the same pitches that you'd find in wind chimes, which I know you use. And wind chimes, as we all know, are kind of meant to be played in a random order as the wind blows. And so you can kind of just have this imagination that I can play all these black keys. And what Campfire does is it starts to organize that a little bit and say, okay, but these 2 notes here, this is our home, this is our camp, and this is our fire. So even though we can be playing, I can just take a walk like it's a path. At some point, I want to come back home, and that home is Campfire. And so that's, again, how we kind of teach through story. And then from there, we kind of build it out, because the 5 black keys, as amazing as that sounds, we start to include the other 2 notes from the scale. And as Angela was mentioning, we're in a key. I'm just not really calling it a key. I'm giving you a story with Camp and Fire. And so once you learn how to use those 2 white keys, and even bringing them together, there's a lot of freedom. And I don't think any key other than the key of G flat, that would be my favorite thing. Honestly, I think Campfire is my favorite thing, because you can't beat it. All the black keys and 2 white keys, and it's exactly where these 2 white keys are. They want to come in, they want to come home. And if you stage that out step by step, one thing at a time, it makes it really accessible. And the piano can be very intimidating, but just telling someone to play the black keys, that's not hard.
Right.
Play 3 at a time. Yeah, it takes a little while to learn those white keys, but we do it all in that 10-day Campfire series. So, all right, I'm going to stop or I won't. So, what do you?
No, that's great, because I think you just demonstrated what we were discussing right before you came in, and it's great to have a visual and to hear it.
Yes,
it's
so
just
fun.
We're live, so like our listeners could be watching us on television, or they could be listening and using their imagination. But I love how you've presented this, because for our visual listeners and watchers,
Yeah.
Is watchers even a word? I don't know, but they can see exactly what you do and what Campfire is. That makes it easy to understand.
Yeah, well, that's it. At the end of the day, it's we can all talk about what we're doing, and that, it's like all these different things that we understand, but it comes down to playing, and that's what's so important to us. And it's not even about like when we give these types of constraints and things to work with, it's not about playing anything perfectly. We're creating in a world where mistakes haven't even been invented yet. We're just playing and listening and learning is really what it is. And these constraints, it's so fun to do classes like this, and our students come together and I give an instruction, and then we all go and create for a little bit, and then we come back and then we have conversation. Do you have any questions? What did you notice? What sounds? It's just such a magical experience to have class discussions like that, because that's really what learning music is all about. It's not just about the theory. It's really more about developing your understanding of sound. You don't need all the standard terminology, although we do connect that in the beginning. Some of that stuff, in the same way sheet music can create that interference, like, okay, we're going to play a C major chord, and people start getting ideas in their head that means a certain thing, and you can only play it one way, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And so that's what Campfire just takes all that out and just
love it. Could we, so I'm watching the time, we have a couple minutes left. Could we spend maybe like 2 minutes on Angela and I talked about ear training. Like I mentioned intervals, but I know, as Angela said, you don't really talk about intervals per se. You talk about like numbers and the distance between the notes that way. So could you give us a quick example of what, like an easy song, like how would you listen to it and play it out? Like, does that make sense?
I mean, a little bit. So let me give you a great example. So one of the first activities that we do is something that we call listening for home. And so that's really listening for the sound of Campfire, where things feel settled. So when you're first listening to a song, I'll play one maybe people probably know. If you've heard Blackbird. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. That's home. That's the feeling of home right there. That's where Campfire. I'm in the key of G. You see what I mean? I'm listening and I hear all that. The birds on the flight. Not home yet. You can kind of just feel this feeling of home. So that's one of the first activities. And what's beautiful about that is you can get used to that. You don't even have to touch your piano. You can just be listening to the music and listen for where the song feels like it resolves, where it belongs. You can say, you might not know what key it's in if you don't have perfect pitch, but you can say, whatever that is, that's home.
That's home. I love it.
Now, well, is that too much? Go ahead.
No, we could talk probably for easily another hour, but we have just a couple minutes left. Yeah. So how do our listeners find you guys again? The easiest, quickest way?
Just type in POPMATICS. We're totally original. That name's going to give you everything. Yeah, POPMATICS.com is where you can find our own website. But if you just type in POPMATICS anywhere, TikTok, YouTube, we're the only thing that comes up.
Awesome. And you have new programs starting soon, or you just sign up and you'll see what's available now?
Oh, that's the beautiful thing is, you can start anytime. I heard you mention that before. So the theme of the month is actually not that new. That's something we've been doing. We've almost done a complete year on it. So it's a very immersive 1-year trip, because we take you through the circle of fifths, 12 keys, 12 months. So you can actually start at any time. Right. And we have a welcome course, so that there's a nice little on-ramp, because if you just come right to classes, it's going to feel a little bit like drinking from a fire hose, because we have a lot of terminology. So we have a welcome course that gets you familiar with our terminology and our practice routines. And then you can hop on the live circuit, and wherever you start, you're going to get through all 12 keys in 12 months.
Love it.
So you
Love
can start at any time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tony. Thank you so much, Angela. You will be hearing from me. I'm so glad that we had this opportunity. And for our listeners out there, POPMATICS, if you're looking to learn and go about it in a fun, easy way, POPMATICS, like you said, is not hard to find.
It's not hard to find.
Thanks for having us, Lisa. This was
yes.
Great to
and
see you.
We will talk. Yes, you too.
All
Thank you so much for all that you do.
Oh, thank you. For you too.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Appreciate this.
All
right.
We'll talk soon. Thank you so much for tuning into The Sound of Gold. And stay tuned. Let's keep music alive. And you'll find out next week, same time, 4 o'clock on Monday. Next week, you will find out who our guests are. And I'm so excited. I can't wait. So thank you for tuning in. And with that being said, I'll just play us